Awesome. Hi, hello, and welcome everyone to one other session of Smartlead's Office Hours. My name is Akash, your friendly customer success manager here at Smartlead. Today, we're super excited to kick things off. But as you know, before we dive in, let's get to know each other a little bit. You would have the chat icon in the center bottom. Pop it into the chat and tell us where you're tuning in from, how the weather is looking in your city, and most importantly, let us know if you're rocking as an agency, flying solo as a freelancer, or you're leading the charge as a SaaS company. We're always curious to hear. So, center bottom chat. Thank you, Chris. Center bottom chat. Let us know if you're where you're from, the temperature, and if you're an agency, freelancer, or a SaaS company. I'm from the Matrix. Oh, wow, lovely. There we go. Keep it coming, guys. Pakistan, London, agency, Germany, Pedro, Mexico City. Ryan is from Richmond. Bright sunny day in London. It's almost night in India here. Lisbon, 24 and sunny. Portugal, lovely agency. Awesome. Keep it coming, guys. And for today's session, in this session, let me give a quick introduction about our guest for today. We have Ryan Redmond, is the founder of Cold Outreach Systems, an end-to-end appointment setting agency helping B2B companies grow faster and more predictably. With over 15 years of sales leadership experience at two Fortune 500 companies, Ryan comes with a structured, results-driven approach to outbound strategy. Right? Over the past 3 years, his team has helped agencies and SaaS businesses consistently deliver results, averaging 15 plus meetings booked per client per month, over 400 qualified meetings across their client base. When he's not building outreach systems, Ryan enjoys life as a husband and a father of three and remains remains a loyal New York Giants and the Knicks fan, bringing the same energy and discipline into work and coaching. Ryan, over to you, sir. A quick round of introduction and we can start with the session.
Hey, what's up, everybody? So yeah, I'm Ryan. I'm the owner of Cold Outreach Systems. We've been doing this for about 3 years now. We've Our own business has went over several different iterations on offers ourselves to figure out what works best. And we learned a lot during those 3 years. Really, though, over the last year, I would say really we scaled pretty significantly due to the help, of offers and just a lot of, friends and stuff like that too. And now I find myself constantly helping clients we work with, whether SaaS companies, like agencies, where they come on board. Either we're working with agencies who have really good offers, or we are consulting them on what offers are working and helping them position their company. I think if you ask most cold email agencies, like offer is king. I think the most important thing is always going to be deliverability, and then the second most important thing is offer, and then everything else kind of goes from there. And on all the AI, all the claim enrichment, everything helps support the offer and improves the results of conversions. But if the offer, sucks, no one's going to buy. So ultimately, and I figured that out on my own, and now we help our clients with the same thing. So yeah, Smartlead X, I kind of reached out to them, and this is a lot of what we help with. And yeah, I'm glad I could take the time to kind of present what we do. I don't think any of this is like grand news or anything greatly new, but I think it's probably the most, other than deliverability, the most important thing that you can do for your business. So that's my intro, and then I can do my slides if that's cool.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. So, a quick context for
Yep.
people who are here. In today's session, Ryan is going to break down the psychology of outbound offers, what makes people respond, and how to turn interest into meetings. So, Ryan, over to you, sir. The screen is yours. You can present your screen
Yep.
and kick things off.
All right. How do I share? Oh, the share button. That would make sense, huh? Everyone can see this okay?
Yes, begin clear.
We're good? Okay. All right. So, oops. All right. We're still good?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. So, objective, just going to go over. I've been in sales for 15 years prior to this in Fortune 500 companies. A lot of what we did was based on metrics and how to improve those metrics. And we spent a lot of time to do those things. So a lot of this is just more logical than even like the psychology of it, of what's working, what converts at a higher rate, and trying to figure out the math behind a great offer and how that can help your business. Then there's the psychology of the good offer. and then common mistakes we see, and steps we specifically create internally, whether it's our own offer or even our clients specifically, how we help them craft offers, and then going over CTAs that I think help the offer as well, and each of those. So shout out. So I work either with these people directly or they're buddies of mine or just like some of these guys I just have reached out to randomly for help at certain times. And a lot of this is either things they've discussed or they've helped me with, along with like the experience over time. So Christian from Client Ascension, he's obviously well known as the GOAT copywriter. He's been a huge help and was somebody I connected to very early in our business. He talks a lot about some of the same things we're going to discuss today. Matt Lucero, who's been on here a few times as well. Eric, I've pinged a few times here and there. He probably doesn't know it, but a lot of the stuff he's done, whether it's his YouTube videos or even questions I've asked him, has been incredibly helpful. And a lot of this stuff Hermosi covers in all his books, so I don't think anything I'm discussing today is like groundbreaking as much as just critical for. I think the more time you spend on figuring this part of the business out, I think all the other stuff will fall into place with your business as well.
Awesome. And Ryan, can you go full
So,
screen if it's possible?
yep. Was that?
Can you go full screen if it's possible?
I don't think it'll let me because my screen is super, super widescreen.
Right.
Is that is it all right like this, or what do you want me to do?
We got a few comments. So it's all right like this. If you have a slideshow option, etc., if we can go to it. If not, this should be fine.
All right, wait a second. Yeah, I don't. It'll be like this. Is this better or no?
Better now. Yep.
Okay, this is better. Okay. All right. So the goal, so I look at like the math behind it. So say your LTV is $15,000 for a client that you take on board, or 10,000 or whatever it is, but just for the exercise, $15,000. My goal is I want to get as many meetings as possible and as many sales as possible from the emails that I send out. So I want to create an offer that can improve the amount of sales I get to improve my LTV, which will ultimately improve my business. So bad offer. I wouldn't even say this is a bad offer. If you book 10 meetings a month,
Mhm.
two aren't really qualified, not good fits, and 8 are good fits, you close one. You close a sale a month. That's not a terrible business model. Like you're not doing poorly, but you bring on 15,000, 12 sales a year. The issue is it's tough to retain every single client and it's tough to keep every single client on board. So that's a good problem to have, but you want to figure out how can I get more of that? How can I grow my business a little faster? A great offer can change things drastically. So almost with the same amount of sending volume, this is stuff we've seen internally in our own business. Meetings booked could go quickly to 50. Maybe there's a higher DQ rate because you're hitting everybody with such a good offer that you're likely to get, more tire kickers or people that maybe aren't a good fit for that offer. And that's okay because you still have 30 people that are qualified for the car offer that you can specifically sell to them. Closure rate usually goes up. I mean, 16%, 10 to 20% is usually average for outbound. And then because I have 30 qualified meetings, I'm closing at a little higher rate. I have 5 sales, and that's same LTV. Maybe I have less upfront I'm collecting or something weird, and maybe more of it's on the back end or whatever. But core revenue goes from like 15K to like 75K very quickly, just from like improving my offer. Recycled. So then there's also like this DQ group right here that maybe don't fit the perfect offer. Maybe you do a pay per meeting model and like they're just not good fits or whatever for it, or performance, whatever the offer is. They don't meet a guarantee or they won't spend the budget to hit your guarantee, whatever it is. You still can sell your old offer to these clients or a different version of that offer, or maybe a less version or a done with you type service to these clients and get additional sales that way as well. So it's not complete waste with those clients as well, but just the math behind it. Like this is honestly essentially how we've kind of scaled our agency when we moved to like a normal meeting model or retainer model to a pay per meeting model.
Right.
Personal story, real quick. Like we were a done with you service originally. I kind of assumed with my 15 years of sales experience and like business consulting, like I would knock out of the park and help people with this type of service. We did okay, but it certainly wasn't as scalable as I would have liked. And nor do I think we had the infrastructure as a business to do something what Client Ascension does and the consulting around these kind of things with a done with you type service and the support needed to do it. So we moved to a paper meeting model with hopes to increase case studies significantly. But what we found was we just acquired clients significantly faster, and we got them results significantly faster, and we got case studies significantly faster, which allowed us to scale even quicker at that point once we got more case studies in our belt. Um, we've definitely had more than 30 over the last year, give and take, but like, retention and stuff like that. I don't think we've had a client leave on a bad terms either because of the pay performance model. Like we're both aligned in the same, really in the same page on if we get results, they get paid, we get paid kind of thing. I don't think I'll just say this quick. Like, I don't think this is like the norm. I do have like a long sales experience. I've been in sales for a long, long period of time. I've trained salespeople how to sell. So I definitely think that gave me, an advantage going into this. And I got support from a lot of people like Christian, Eric, Lucero and stuff like that too. We are also very, very picky about who we work with, but I personally have seen where my business was kind of like stuck at like 8 to 10K per month. And now we're like a million plus a year business within like honestly a pretty short period of time. And trying to aggressively scale that now. And it literally was just including the offer along with some of my experience on what I'm doing with sales. And I'm sure there's agencies who are kicking my ass and are much better at this stuff than I am, but this is just our story and what we help. Now we help our clients do the same exact thing right now. So high level offers. This just real quick, if you wouldn't reply to your own email, like the prospect's not going to reply either. Like that's the bottom line. If it's not clear, if it's not specific, if it's not valuable, like they're not going to reply to your email, or they won't reply with a positive reply. So make sure you're always be clear. There should be like an outcome based result on what you can help them with, and that should be super super clear. The simpler you can put that, the better off your email reply rate will be, and your positive replies will be as well. We've had clients with really good um, outcome-based offers, but their emails were written all over the map too, and just positioned wrong. Where we just helped them with the positioning of it a little bit, and that helped as well. Try to offer something you can fulfill for 60 to 70% of our clients, knowing or prospects, knowing that some might DQ, and then have secondary offers and make sure you can fulfill on the offers. So that's where a lot of agencies get bad raps is like we sell them on these guarantees and these offers, but we can't get them a result. Like make sure we can fulfill on what we tell them ahead of time as well. And if you're new or you're just trying to get case studies right now, like, and again, this is like literally what we did, like charge less, do performance based, don't move to guarantees unless you have great case studies to match the results you've gotten before. And I would suggest be flexible with clients in the beginning as you try to figure some things out too, along as well. Like you'll start to figure your offer out, what works better, how to position it differently once you start acquiring clients as well.
Mhm.
Um, so here's pretty basic. Everyone probably writes emails like this, but basic cold email structure should be something like this or some variation of this, where there's an intro, offer, case study, CTA. We're going to talk a lot about the offer. I do have clients who get confused on I'll go over that today, like a CTA versus, here, one sec. I do have clients get confused on like a CTA versus offer, and I'm going to go over the difference between the two because they do think a lot of times the clients will tell me that their call to action is the CTA or the call to action is their offer, but they're two different things. This is not completely me. I'll give Christian the benefit of that on this. He talks about this on his YouTube channel. Me and him text about this kind of stuff all the time. So, four reasons people buy are either you're going to boost their lead flow, you're going to make them more money, you're going to save some money or reduce some costs somehow, or you're going to improve their authority, meaning like, what their social status is or something like that. If you're not doing those things, or your offer is not doing those things, or your business is not positioned to do those things, you're really going to struggle to get cold email to work for you. Um, and ultimately, even like with the AI enrichment, and if you could speak to the problem really well, like ultimately, you need to do these things to get a cold audience to be attracted to you. And that's the same thing with cold email, probably ads is the same thing with Facebook ads and things like that. You need to ultimately solve a problem
Right.
that fixes this specific issue. Um, there is this like random fifth bucket that I'd consider that obviously like things like AI, TikTok, Amazon is one too. And there'll be another one probably like in 6 months. Like there's always like a new thing that's kind of hot right now that if your offer is positioned to help that will also just improve conversions in general. And I'll go over some of that too. Where if you combine that with, boosting lead flow or making them more money, or innately they know they need to have TikTok or AI enablement or something like that, those things can ultimately help the offer as well. It's just because it's sexy and it's attractive right now. So people are more likely to do it.
Got it. And one quick
Um,
question from the chat as well.
yeah, go ahead.
Yep. Talking about offers, how would you kind of position them in your email? Because when you start an email with an offer, wouldn't that get you into promotions, or is that a myth?
Yeah, I mean, we manage deliverability pretty consistently. So deliverability will go down over periods of time if you're hitting the same exact emails with a period of time. I just suggest, replacing inboxes at that point. Like, so it could technically over time, but I think from what I've seen with the messages we send out, I think if the reply rate's pretty high and the positive reply rates are pretty good and we're getting interaction, then we usually don't see too much of an issue.
Right.
Um, if the offer is really bad, I'm not getting any replies. It's usually more often when I see the inboxes start to crash and I have to replace those more frequently. Or it's a super, super saturated offer that's like just everyone's sending it out. And there are just times, random times, when it's like I thought it was a killer offer
Mhm.
and like inboxes got killed in 2 weeks. And then I tried again in 2 weeks and got killed. And I think some of offers are just naturally going to be spam, like
Right.
at a higher rate.
Right.
And I think that just happens. And some of it was just literally fixing the positioning of it and taking certain keywords out that we found worked. Certainly does happen, but I think ultimately, if you're getting interaction from a prospects and they're replying and there's positive reply and there's back and forth, that's ultimately what you want
Yep.
over time. I don't know if
Makes
that
sense.
answers your question or not,
No,
but
makes sense. Makes sense, Ran. Makes a lot of sense.
yep.
And one other question is, how do you position a secondary offer without overloading an email?
What do you mean by what do they mean by like a secondary offer?
I think it's maybe an additional offer, but Daniel, you can clarify this, and we'll come back again to this question. Shouldn't be a problem. But that's a question we've got from Daniel, so I'll let him clarify.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer. I just know what it means by a secondary offer. If he means testing two different offers, or does that's what I want to know.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yep.
And I think give me a quick minute, Ryan, seeing if there's any other
Yeah, no
question.
worries, man.
Yep. And one last question. If you can repeat slide number 8, we've had a person who requested for it.
Yeah, yeah. I could probably put this on like a Google slide or something too, so everybody can just get the doc if we
Absolutely.
want to
We'd
do that
love
as
that.
well.
We'd love that, Ryan. Thank you.
Um, Everything we're probably going to discuss the rest of the slides will probably go back to driving home some of these points. But the biggest thing I think from this is like you want to be able to actually fulfill on this on 60 to 70% of the prospects you talk to. You might have a secondary offer that's like a lower ticket item or just a different, maybe I'm a paper meeting model, but like we will have times where I don't think it's going to work. And I'll tell them that, but I'll do it on a retainer if you want. Maybe we'll do like a 1 or 2 month engagement and I price it where I'm comfortable. And it doesn't always close, but like I've closed them. So sometimes it almost like when I tell them no, I can't do it. They almost want to challenge me a little bit and be like, let's try. Like I just want to try it. Like, all right, let's
Right.
give it a shot. And I ultimately like especially for like the lead gen agencies or anybody that's like performant like or guarantee like you just want to ultimately be able to fulfill on what you're talking through and you don't want to overpromise and underdeliver ultimately. And if you're not sure if it's going to get results like because the clients offer like they're testing offers out and they're all over the place, which definitely like there's bad clients and clients who are all over the place um like tell them that we're essentially beta testing and doing market research for you versus like trying to do appointment setting. Like we don't know what the outcomes will be and price it accordingly. And protect yourself. Maybe have like tech fees and stuff like that with per meeting and stuff like that. And we could talk through that if we want to later if we need to.
Makes sense. Okay,
Um,
Ryan. We have a couple of more questions, but I'll keep it to the end.
yeah, yeah. Want me to go further?
You can go further with your presentation.
All right, cool. All right, super quick. So I've already talked about this one. So offer is not the CTA. CTA is your call to action. Like, can I send you a video? Can I send you more info? Like that's the next step. The offer is ultimately the outcome that you can get from working with us. Um, I do see a lot of founders who just get stuck in the weeds on stuff and just like they're so involved in their own business that they don't focus on what the outcome they actually, can get a client. We see that a lot with agencies. Um, and common offer mistakes, just not spending enough time trying to figure out an offer that will work, both on the cold email side, but also on the sales side. Like, how do we get conversions of cold email, but also conversions and close deals on this type of offer?
Mhm.
We've toyed around with our offer on, paper meeting later, paper meeting now and stuff, and track closure even on the back end on how often are we closing these deals and which the revenue we're bringing into our business. So but I just think you want to spend a lot of time on the business on this. Like I'd spend more time on this than I would the AI enrichment stuff. Because if this is right and you nail it, you'll hit a home run. I've heard Eric talk about this too, like even with a client, like they'll just send out mass emails originally in the beginning just to test out offers to see if it works before they go crazy with enabling AI and enriching and personalizing. I don't think they do it every time, but like they definitely like you want to test the offer versus the market before you optimize the campaign further, in my opinion. Um,
Understood.
Next one. So here's like this is kind of what we do to our clients. It's probably a little more detailed than what we do on an onboarding call, but I wanted to make it at least a little more tangible for everybody on the call. And this is probably stuff you could do internally in your own business if you're trying to just optimize what you're doing. So first, I always ask a client like, "What do you do?" I'm looking for like specific hooks, outliers, something that's going to convert higher via cold email that they do. So I'll ask like a lot of like deeper questions than just like I'm a full service marketing agency. Like, okay, what kind of platforms you sell on, like what does that look like, what type of clients you have, things like that. But you typically want to dive deeper into the service that they provide to understand it. We've had clients that we signed up even after asking this like stuff on the onboarding, like the initial discovery calls and stuff, that we found out a lot more about their offer that was very unique on campaigns I didn't think were going to do that great, but like it was good enough to like let's work together.
Right.
And we figure out a way better offer than I even thought about prior to the onboarding call. So really dive deep into exactly what they do. The example I gave here is, full service agency, but they offer TikTok. Like it's not their main core service, but it's something they do offer. Um, TikTok's gonna convert at a higher rate than telling somebody you do Google Ads. Like Google Ads is probably more of a commoditized offer right now versus like more people want to be on TikTok. They haven't figured out TikTok. It is hard to be really profitable on TikTok right now. So like that's going to be attractive on a front end offer and trying to get people through the funnel there. And then you're essentially going to try to cross sell like additional services and stuff like that, or your other services to them on that. But top of funnel, what's the most attractive thing that's going to get me meetings is
Mm.
usually what I'm looking for in here.
Understood.
The next one, so define who they help. Um, So clearly identify the niche. Your offer is probably gonna be different for a service-based business, maybe an electrician, a plumber, like a HVAC company, than an e-commerce brand. Like your service and your positioning is gonna be different. We have clients that kind of somehow work with both because they're in interesting niches, but they work with both, but the copy and even the offer was slightly different for each of these target markets that we went after. Um, There's a lot on here, but honestly, like just asking them about pricing and how their pricing works is a big thing. Usually there's like interesting things with their pricing that you might be able to position it, whether it's, a guarantee, performance-based stuff. Some clients like their pricing is so inexpensive that sometimes a low cost could be something you could even use in the copy. Not often, but very rarely, but like just ask questions around that. Um, like here's just an example I gave. Like we had a client who charged a 5,000 deposit and then they work on a commission. And they essentially were a SaaS company that put something on the website that improved conversions and improved membership signups and subscription signups for like e-commerce companies. Um, they always did a 5,000 deposit, and I kind of just asked more questions about it. They said, yeah, if we talked to the right client, we would waive it. We wouldn't even charge it because we make the money back so fast. If they sell this much on their store, we make this much money back quick. This person's never thought about that in a cold email. They've tried it internally, but we actually put that on the offer, like no upfront payment. We work 100% on commission. And we targeted specific clients that he told us, like, this is the minimum threshold I probably do it on. And we targeted specific clients with that offer, and the offer's killing it. It's doing very, very well. They weren't getting any meetings prior to working with us, whether their sales guy doing outbound or their cold email. And they got like 3 to 4 meetings in like, I think a week and a half, 2 weeks, targeting some bigger companies. And we'll optimize over time. Like it might be lull periods and stuff like that here, and we still have to figure out copy. But just like it's just proof that like the offer is better than what they were putting out there before. And we probably are doing some deliverability things that are much better than them as well. But for them, it only cost them $200 to set up this like 5,000 thing they were charging for. And the right client, they earn the 5K back in like 2 weeks, often quicker, because of how many sales they had on their website. So once we talked through that, they're like, yeah, let's do it. That's fine with me. And we had a different offer for clients who maybe for prospects who didn't sell as much on their store for their e-commerce site. Um, but that's worked really well. It's just like one example.
Mhm.
Um, Step four, gather proof and case studies. This one's always like the one that honestly tells me the most. Um, we do vet case studies pretty heavily as a paper meeting model before we sign a client on, because if their case study, like anyone that does lead gen here, like you're as good as your client's offer and as good as your client's case studies. If you know deliverability pretty well, you're a decent copywriter, like you're as good as what their offer and their case studies are. So do vet through that kind of stuff, and you can price your meeting model accordingly based on their case studies and stuff like that too. Um, but typically ask like, what's your average result do you typically see? Look at their case studies, like what's the typical improvements you see in sales or conversions or whatever it is.
Mhm.
How long does that take? Give me some best examples. Sometimes like I'd say like half, like sometimes like half or 60% of their clients. So like we could pretty much do this if they paid us X. We pretty much could guarantee that would happen. And I've had that happen on several calls. Like if they pay me X K, $8,000 and spent this much on ads, and we're a perfect fit, kind of like the last example I gave on the 5K deposit. Like we would definitely improve their sales here. I was like, that's probably the guarantee. Like that's probably the offer we put out there. And we just got to build a lead list that's maybe specific to that criteria, and then maybe have a different offer for the different market. But like their average result could be things like we'll increase your sales 20%, or whatever it is. Sometimes just understanding their case studies will help paint a picture, maybe even without a guarantee on the average, tangible impact I can have on a business from there as well. Um, and then kind of just like then I kind of just said this here. So then you can do things like we can increase your sales by 40% in 90 days. Maybe the average client increases sales, 40% if they spend X number of dollar on ads, and that's their core offer. And they have a secondary offer in case they don't have the budget for that kind of paid ads or something like that. We could book you 20 meetings per month, whatever. So, and then I'll ask this sometimes too. Not as common, but kind of if the conversation kind of gets there, like what would you charge if you had to guarantee a result? Like if you had to guarantee X number, like for like an appointment setter, like I want 60 meetings. Like what would I charge to this client where I'm familiar with their case study, like with this type of offer, how it'll perform, what would I want to make back? And that I figure those things out sometimes too. So you could do the same thing. Like I ask the client the same thing, like what would you charge if you had to guarantee a result? And sometimes that might be the guarantee. Um, and not everyone wants a guarantee. Not every, like a lot of agencies we work with don't do guarantees. But this is just to get you to a point to get them sometimes, or even yourself to look at, what is the outcome that I actually get from my clients? For most of the people I talk to, and most people we work with, what is the outcome that I typically get? Um, and then And that's kind of the same thing. Here's just like another format of that. Like we help target audience achieve X result in Y time frame, with, guaranteed. We have
Mhm.
clients with no guarantees. I know a lot of agencies who do more problem based conversations. They'll use like things like AI and stuff like that. That stuff works too. We've done problem provoking questions and stuff like that as well. Um, but this typical framework is pretty solid on creating an offer. You can add layers to guarantee, perform, which time frame. You just want to make it a no-brainer. Again, you want to do something you can fulfill on for like 60 to 70% of your clients, or even like 50, and then you can DQ from there. What you don't want to do though is promise a result that you can't get for anybody. And I would look at that as well. Like if you can't get it for anybody, don't put that offer out there. And then try to guarantee it on the sales call, because that's just bad business practice. Um, And then, yeah, again, if people don't qualify for that offer, it's just not a good fit. You're welcome, like sell additional service, whether it's a done with you, done for you, like a playbook, whatever. Like you talk to 10 of them, and 10 disqualified people and that didn't fit your exact criteria, weren't going to fit for performance-based model, your guarantee. There's a secondary offer you can make a few bucks on too that may not be a big lift for you, that actually might help them out too. We've done things like consulting on their own, cold email and just write the scripts, do the build out, things like that. We've done just write the scripts. Like we've done creative things there where they just, maybe they couldn't afford the service either, and we just offered a secondary thing. And it doesn't close a lot, but it does bring in some additional revenue that we didn't expect from clients. We don't, we can't offer those services. Um, I have examples. You want me to stop? I don't know if there's additional questions. I have some examples I can give on like weak versus strong. When we keep going.
Absolutely. We'll pick up a few questions because I have a list of questions right now already, Ryan.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I figured I could stop there.
yeah, sure. So, picking from the first one, earlier we were talking about CTAs. I don't get the difference between these two CTAs. You said the one CTA has a different meaning than the offer, but you didn't say what's the major difference between the two. Can you please clarify?
Yeah, I go over that in a little bit. So call to action is the next step on the call. So your offer is tangible result you can get with working with us. So I can increase your sales by 20% in 90 days. I've done so, then the case study. I've done so for XY client. They received that same result in Y time frame, whatever. The CTA would be mind if I share a video of how we would do that for you. CTA, mind if I send more info? CTA, open to a call Tuesday of next week at 2 p.m. to chat through this. Like, not the CTA I recommend there, but um, something like that. The call to action is like the step you want them to take after the offer and case study are there. It's a step you want them to take next. Make that, and we're going to go over it, but like make that super simple and really easy to say yes to. Um, where there's not a big lift for the prospect to generate more positive replies. Um, but that's the difference is like CTA is usually the last thing in the email that you want them to do next to get a positive reply or even a negative. Like just that's the next thing I want them to do.
Understood. Awesome. And one common question, right? Do you recommend links or videos in the emails? And what are your thoughts on that, Ryan?
No, we don't use links or videos ahead of time in the videos or anything ahead of time. We wait till somebody's, shown interest and then we've done it
Makes sense.
at that point.
Makes sense. And one last question for now, which is, are there any type of businesses to avoid, Ryan? Because Daniel Fazio from Client Accession is saying to stay away from software development companies. Do you have any thoughts on this?
As far as to avoid doing cold email for, like if I'm a
To
lead gen
avoid
company
holding,
or
yes, sir. The type of businesses to which you want to avoid doing cold emails.
yeah, so there's some businesses that are just really hard to get to convert via cold email. It's just like the reality of it. Cybersecurity is like one, or anything related to like cybersecurity, CTO, like fractional CTO type, like anything that's like that world. There's just I you only really, and this is not just me who's like said this. I've brought clients online. It just struggled to get results, and I just could never figure out how to do it. I think there's not like you can't generate demand for that. Usually they're only searching for that like when they need it, and it's rare that they need it. And then it's more that they're going to Google or use like references for like those type of services. So it's really hard to get that to convert because you really almost can't even build an offer around it that I found works. So that one, anything like there's some stuff with SEO we can do that we've had success with. It depends on who you're targeting, but like SEO can be really, really tough to convert via. There's definitely offers we have right now, like killing it with SEO, but just in general, like high level SEO, and depends on who you're targeting for that. If you get certain results, those are the two. I don't disagree with Dan either on the like software company, like custom software type things. Like there's not really like an offer there, and it's like super vague. If you're doing like custom software or even like AI enablement,
Mhm.
I would group in. I wouldn't say that's not one to do work with, but like if you're doing stuff like that, you want to be really specific on the pain point you solve for that specific person in that job title, and maybe even that industry. So maybe you do AI enablement or software development, but like what's the specific thing you do to solve that person's problem is you want to speak to there. And then even software development, because it's so vague, unless the offer is really interesting and what they're doing is really interesting and it's really specific, it generally doesn't convert. What I typically see as a cold emailer, like the client companies that like usually they're bigger companies, but they do this software development or they do cybersecurity. It's like they usually can't dial it in the offer well enough to get it super specific to the job title. It's
Right.
usually the smaller companies that we've seen more success with that are like open to the ideas on those things.
Got it.
And we like we'll work with them. But yeah, Dan's right. And SEO, we've seen some stuff work recently.
Right.
And then yeah, the other one I gave cybersecurity. Yeah. Yep.
Got it. Makes sense. And as a follow-up question for this from Henry, Ryan, which is, would you have any best practices or tips for selling to big software companies? Have you seen anything specific that worked for you?
Selling to software companies.
Yes, sir. Particularly larger ones via cold email.
Uh, like what are we selling to them?
We're booking
I guess
meeting.
is
So let's say when I say
yeah,
selling,
oh, so um, I mean, SaaS companies we've seen like work if we're going to say specifically that, like big software development companies who build like custom softwares. I don't personally target those a lot. I think part of it is like simply like ticket size and who they're going after usually are like really hard to get in front of, is part of the issue. It's almost like it's hard to get them results. And I usually don't want to sign up someone that we're struggling to get results for. And I think part of it is like there's just it's hard to build an offer for those companies. They have to be really open to like being really specific with their offer for the specific people you're targeting and the departments we're in. And some probably are. But they're the ones like companies like that are usually the ones that need the lead gen the most, but but it's a struggle to get leads for them is part of the issue in my experience. So,
got it.
and I'm not saying that might not be everybody, that's just me.
Yep.
Um,
I want to hear your thoughts. All good, Ryan. Thank you so much. Over to you, boss.
all right, cool. Just some examples. So weak offer versus strong offer. Just I literally just gave like examples here. This isn't anything crazy. You could probably run this stuff through ChatGPT and like get something similar if you kind of put your offer in there. Honestly, ChatGPT is pretty helpful if you just ask it to give me a Hermosi style offer to giving some of these. We do, help businesses with Google and Facebook ads. Like we help plumbers and electricians book 30 plus new jobs in 90 days, or you don't pay. Like that's a significantly better offer than whatever the hell I was doing over here. We build beautiful, responsive websites. We redesign your website to convert 3% of visitors in the next 14 days. Um, Marketing for dentists. Like this is stuff I'll get from clients telling me this is what they do. And I ask them, what's your offer? This is what they tell me. We help dental offices add 20 plus new patients per month in 30 days. This was captured from like a case study. Like we essentially just looked at a case study and did something like that.
Right.
Um, Generate leads for HVAC companies. We deliver 30 book jobs per month for HVAC companies. Again, just like tangible outcome. You don't even need to pay results or whatever, just like a tangible outcome that you help them with. And whatever, like we make brand videos for companies. We create short form videos that double engagement on your ads within the next 30 days. So it's just, again, tangible outcomes. Um, and again, like you may talk to a company, like we advertise like 20 to 30 meetings a month or something like that in our emails. And it depends who we're targeting, of course, but some clients will come on, they don't start there always because there is a certain price they have to pay to doing those things. Like you might do something like this, but they don't want to pay this much for ads. So maybe it's more like 10 meetings, but they'd be fine. Like I'll take 10 more meetings. So it's kind of best foot forward on something you can actually deliver, but you have a secondary package you can offer as well. Um, but just make the offer strong. So clear, desirable outcome, high likelihood of success. Proof and guarantee definitely help usually double that result. Fast result or quick win. Oops. And low friction to say yes to. So I mean, this is like Hermosi's like equation, but like I really do like spend a lot of time to think through like how do I make the offer sound super enticing.
Right.
All right, going to go to CTAs. So CTAs again is the call to action, like the next step after the offer, the case study. And there's 100 ways to write an email. Like we have clients who we do case study for works really well, and then maybe the offer later, or the case studies with the offer in a weird way. Like it really depends on what works. The CTA, I would say ultimately the goal is to get them on a sales call. Like that's ultimately what you're trying to do. But you really want to with the cold prospect, they're not your, you don't know them, you weren't at a conference with them, they weren't a referral. So they just don't trust you like innately. Like there's just no lack of trust. You just send a cold email to them. They don't know who you are from a hole in the wall, right? So you want to build trust quickly with a prospect, and if I can get them on a sales call or into my ecosystem, meaning like get them start seeing results from us, like the quicker I can do that, I can demonstrate value, I can show our success, and I can get them, to be a long-term client is my thought process. Whether that's sharing value ahead of time or do I want to get them on a call and get value that way. Stats you want to monitor, and this could be different for every industry. Positive reply rate over 10%. If it's under that, it could be an offer issue. We have clients much higher than that. We have clients, lower than that. But 10% is like a good barometer to use. And some of our clients, because we do per meeting model, we won't use as soft as CTAs as you could use if you're just trying to generate leads. We have clients who run a per lead model and pay us per lead, and we just do it that way. And we have a higher positive reply rate. But that's a good barometer is 10%.
Mhm.
And we have clients that are like 5%, but their TAM is huge. And it's no matter what we've done at it, it's just stayed 5%. And we just scale that thing to the moon, send more emails and book more meetings that way. Um, Percentage of positive replies that I book, you typically want 20% of those or higher to book. If you're under that, you could have a speed to lead issue. It could be the CTA doesn't match up with what your response templates are as well. It could be simply a follow-up issue as well. But the main metric I usually look at for a client is like, how many emails do I need to send to book a meeting? And shout out to Lucero. This is something like he talks about, and he's talked about with me quite a bit. So I mean, if like our clients, we book, I think this numbers went up over time just because of saturation, but you know, one out of every 1,500 emails is a booked meeting. If that's the metric across like for a client, do you want 10 meetings? You just send 15,000 emails, like with the same exact offer going out there. Like it's not complicated. If this number is 3,000 and no matter what you throw at it's 3,000, then just send 30,000 emails, right? Like it's not complicated. Once you know the metric, you can scale. Like usually by month two, you have a good feel and you'll know this metric pretty well on how many emails do I need to send out to book a meeting. And then just a matter of scalability. Purchasing inboxes, whether from Smartlead, inboxes are pretty cheap from third-party providers at this point. Like it's pretty easy to scale your cold email system. Smartlead makes it super easy to kind of manage everything and manage deliverability now. Like sometimes it's just a matter of scaling, and you can improve this metric by making a better offer. But you, if your offer is what the offer is, like sometimes it's just scale it to see how many meetings you can get. Different CTAs, like I've always had like agencies always tell me this, like we'll do a free audit for them. Free audits are like a cold prospect isn't going to take a free audit from you because they don't know you from like a whole, there's just like no social proof. I'm not going to get on a call with you to do an audit unless like we've done like weird things like gift cards randomly for like clients and stuff and had some success doing that. But like you're going to get lead quality issues, but you get meetings, and if their audits are really good, they will get sales. But like to go for no reason, just a cold prospect on a cold email I got, and just to jump on a call for an audit, unless the offer is really, 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 really good, it's just like a really tough CTA to do. Like it's just hard to get a cold prospect to jump to do that with you if they don't know you yet. So here's like almost like an ideal scenario that I like. We don't use this personally, but we've toyed around the idea of one of them. I know Eric uses one of these as well for his cold email system. But the idea is like if you're good at what you do, what is a way like a low barrier of entry I can get somebody to talk to me and into my ecosystem and improve my worth is kind of what I think of these. That's almost like the best way to get a CTA. And I put this here as a sales guy, like I want to be on the phone call with a prospect versus trying to go back and forth via email. Um, Examples. So these are all for different types of companies, but I put together a short campaign so you can see how this might work for company name, open to a quick call to map it out. That was tied with a really good offer for like a newsletter subscribers and increasing newsletter subscribers, and that worked really well.
Mhm.
and we tried out video. We actually tried out sending leads for this company and just sending them leads directly. But literally, prospects would ask, like, what the hell do I do with these leads? Like, I had like prospects asking that verbatim.
Right.
So we changed it up to get to the call to show out exactly how we'll build it into their system and their marketing program and things like that, because that was the barrier. That was the issue there. And that worked really well.
Mhm.
And again, their offer was really good. Um, we're offering a free campaign setup so you can see the results, no risk, no upfront cost. Mind if I share over details? Again, like if you're, I mean, even like a cold email provider, doesn't cost you much to launch a campaign, like to do like a quick, like to see how it'll do. You're gonna have to qualify the heck out of it, to be
Mhm.
honest with you on those, but you could do it. I can create a free homepage mockup for company name, which would be interesting to see how it looks. That's good for like websites and stuff like that.
Right.
Websites are really tough to get right to a call. You're probably going to do video audits ahead of time. And then here's like a softer, lower friction, probably most ideal CTAs to get the most positive replies. And there's 100 ways to do this. So this is not like, don't take this as what I have to do. But mind if I share more info how it works? We built a 2-minute video showing how we do the same for company name. Mind if I share it? Mind if I share examples from our portfolio to see if it's a good fit?
Mhm.
Mind if I share a video, blah, blah, blah. The better the offer, the more direct your CTA can be. Um, we, if you have an SDR or the team you work with has an SDR or like somebody that's willing to cold call or warm call leads, like this is a very good format, especially if you're doing a per lead basis. And just because you do per meeting doesn't mean you can't do per lead. Um, if they were willing to work the leads, like we have a guy internally that handles, he sets our appointments for, and I take the sales call. But he also works our leads for us as well, and we book a very high amount of those. But he'll call, text, voicemail prospects once they ring in. We've booked plenty of meetings with that. We actually close those at a pretty high clip too. So if you have a good process there, these really soft CTAs are pretty good. The issue we see with clients, if you do per meeting, as a lead gen agency, if you do per meeting and you're doing custom videos and your client's got to do the custom video, I don't think I've really had a lot of situations where the client gets the video to me quickly enough, which is ruins my speed to lead. So we usually do per lead formats for where this is the best CTA for the offer that they have. Um, but these are like probably the most ideal type of ones you want to use for the most positive replies and the most leads, because it's just so easy to say yes to. And you'll probably have inbox deliverability last a longer period of time. Because again, it's so easy to say yes to. There's more engagement
Mhm.
with the emails. You're probably going to get like a higher reply rate, a higher positive reply rate, and longer deliverability with these. But you have to have a really tight process and speed to lead and follow up in order to get success from these.
Right.
Um, CTA to a call. I mean, it works if there's a killer offer.
Right.
If the offer is really, really good, again, we've done like gift cards here and there. So the clients have to be on board for that. Lead qualities, can suffer from that, but like we've done it. But again, it's still the softer CTA,
Mhm.
like something like this, you could usually get to a call pretty quickly and you should always, always be driving them to a call once the lead comes in.
Right.
Um, and then, yeah, I just kind of put like all three of them here, but it's essentially just a recap of the CTAs I kind of discussed there.
Right.
Um, that's it. That's the presentation on offers. So I don't know if there's any
Awesome.
questions.
Thank you so much, Ryan. And I think many of us wanted this document as well. So if you can share it on the chat, that would also be
Sure.
really right. So, folks,
Sure.
now the floor is open for questions. You can ask your questions directly to Ryan. You'd see a React option at the center bottom. Click on that. You'd have an option to raise your hand. You can click on that again, turn on your video, and I'll spotlight you. You can shoot your questions directly. Again, React on the center button, click on raise hand. And while we do that, Ryan, Bryce is here. Bryce, can you unmute yourself? Can
Am I
you?
on mute?
Yep, you are.
We're good.
Hey, thank you for the presentation. This is awesome. Do you have an example for we help build essentially sales and marketing funnels for real estate developers to help them attract investors into their
Mhm.
real estate deals? Do you have any examples for that industry?
So what do you do again?
Our basically our offers, we help real estate developers build investor pipelines and raise capital faster.
So how much capital do you normally raise for a client?
From millions to hundreds of millions.
And how quick can you do it?
We can get leads
Average, like,
almost right away through ads. We can get investor leads through paid very quickly.
do you do
Um,
it through paid? Is that how it works? You do it through paid, like ads to drive traffic to it, to get investors into it? Is
paid
that how
and
it works?
whatever, yeah, we whatever they're doing, we kind of tailor it to whatever they're doing, or the quickest
Yep,
way is,
paid ads. Yeah. So I would do like, what's roughly what do you
but I'm switching to
like?
cold. I'm a client of yours and I just
Yeah,
started.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm
No, I was asking more for your clients. So you do paid ads for them to get them, or that'll like to drive the funnel of the investors, is that right?
Yeah, for example, we usually build an investor portal, but to us, it's doing all these things. It's building trust, their track record, their
Yep,
team. Why would you invest with us? We build investor portals for a lot of big companies, but
yep.
also a lot of real estate syndicators have to raise capital for their deals, right? It's a whole other
Sure,
people's
sure.
money industry. Um,
Yeah,
so
I mean, the questions
yeah,
I'm asking is probably like what I would look at, and I don't think you have to do like best case scenario, but just do like a range and just make it more outcome based. Like we can help you raise X number of dollars in capital to do X, Y, and Z in the next 30 days or whatever, like something like that. Like I would just look at it like what a normal client, or you can even do it based on how big the company is, on how much capital they probably would take on, or something like that. But I would just make like an offer on like how much capital you think you could raise them in the next 90 days, 30 days, whatever you want to use on the time frame. Um, you could probably like it's you're kind of doing the same thing I get all the time with well, it depends on X, Y, and Z, and it depends on this. So you could really make the offer dependent on who you're targeting and stuff like that. And you could have like a best case scenario, but maybe they don't want that much capital and you can lower it. But yeah, like we can help you raise X number of dollars in the next time X, Y time frame to help you do X, Y, Z. We just did this for X, big name company and this big name company. One company we raised $50,000 and they did, making them this much dollars. Confident we can do the same for you. Mind if I share more info and how, mind if I share more info. But like just yeah, like how much capital dollars could you raise and which time frame I would look at and just kind of create an offer that you're comfortable with. Um, you could do a range, but I think a solid number is probably going to be a better result versus doing like we could range like a million to 100 million is like a big range. So like maybe do one that's like realistic that most people are willing to like. What does the average client do initially with you? And maybe start there. Um, but that's what I would do is just yeah, capital raise and X time frame is probably what I would do. So
and then the call
yeah.
to action, would you mind if I share a what?
Mind if I share more info how it works or something like that? Depends on the copy. But mind if I share more info? Um, any interest? Interested question mark. Um, open to hearing more. Mind it, something like that. Like something really easy. And then I would try to drive them to a call with the reply back, like, hey, think like they'll say like, sure, send me more info. Like, hey, thanks for getting back to me. So let's set up some time to chat, blah, 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 blah. And then, or you could give a little blurb of more info, like, hey, great, at, Bryce's investment firm, or I don't know the name of the company, so I apologize, but like, Bryce's firm, we specialize in helping real estate investors gain this much to this much in capital in X time frame. Let's set up some time to chat to get through the specifics on how we could help company name, how does blah, 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 blah work. But yeah, I would just tangible outcome, pretty aggressive time frame you could do it. Not everyone's going to hold you to that time frame because it very much is dependent on what they're going to spend with you in the reality. So you probably could do it, but do they want to spend it? Like I don't know, that's their choice. Like all right, we could probably do it it would probably happen in 90 days because you're only spending this much on ads. Like I'd still take the capital. Like I'm not going to like refuse the capital at that point. So that would be my thought.
Yeah, they all need it. The whole thing has to tick on that because if you don't have some cash, you can't even get a
Yep.
bank loan. Like you have to back up the capital with some cash. So
Yep.
typically they go out and find investors, they put the cash in, and then they can get a loan from the bank for the rest.
Yeah, yeah. Is this like real estate investing, like hard money lending and stuff like that to like they get the original cash to have a percentage down on the loan to take out? Is that kind of what you're doing?
Yeah,
Yep.
just how to get ready
Yeah,
to
it's
get a
huge need there.
loan.
Yep,
What's
huge
that?
need there. So I think literally just outcome based and like what is the problem is specific. So you can do X, like problem it'll solve for you. And like you could test that without a case study. You could test it with a case study. I don't think you need to do video CTA because I think that's like such a big need for that specific industry. And if the offer is good, I mean, you could probably smack a guarantee on it if, because again, if they pay this, they'll probably get roughly that. Like with you, I imagine like you probably know if they do X, they'll get this back.
I do know. I mean,
Yeah.
we deal with funnels for like Grant Cardone, for example. He's a big
Yep.
or
Yeah,
mid-level
it's
real
huge.
estate guy. Yeah. Um, we get like 2,100 leads a month for Grant. Um,
And he's
now
an amazing case study. Like you should absolutely reference him in the email.
yeah, and um, yes, that would be one of the case studies. And then we work for a lot of REITs, but a lot of mid-sized guys like that who are always raising capital.
Yep.
Um, but to you and I, it's just a funnel with a
Yeah.
targeted offer, and most of them stink at creating their offer. That there are investors looking for those types of investments,
Yep.
but they're just terrible at aligning.
Yep. The thing you're asking me about is the thing that they stink at that you're helping them with coincidentally, as well, which is interesting. But yeah, like
Awesome.
outcome based. I think you might even be able to do like case study first. Like we've helped companies like Grant Cardone, XYZ raise X number of dollars in capital. Confident we could do the same for you. You know, mind if I share more info? Like you could do something like that too, and that'd be interesting.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. Perfect. Next up, we have Rajiv. Sorry to be that guy, gentlemen and women. If we can cap it to 1 to 2 questions per person, we'd have the questions answered for all of them. Yep. Rajiv, if you can turn on your video, I'll quickly. There you go. Adding you to Spotlight, sir. Can you unmute yourself?
Mute. Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yep, loud and clear.
Awesome. Thank you. Hey, this is a fantastic discussion. Thank you, Akash. Thank you, Ryan. Ryan,
Sure.
I deal with marketing for cybersecurity. I have a question for you. You said one thing that kind of got my ears perked up. You said it's really hard to do email marketing for cybersecurity. Can you comment a little bit more on that? What exactly did you mean,
Yes.
and like how you worked around that?
Yeah, so we've just, I mean, we and like it probably isn't just me. Like a lot of agencies, it's really tough to get results for cybersecurity through cold email. I think for and this is our theory. I don't think that, I don't know if I mean maybe there's a company that can do it. I just there it's hard to create demand, which is essentially like Bryce's question earlier was essentially like creating demand on a need that there's a huge need for. There's a need for cybersecurity, but I think the issue is most of the time, like the companies aren't actively like searching for to improve their cybersecurity unless there's an issue going on is part of the problem. They're not actively like, I need to fix my cybersecurity in my business today. It seems to be one of those things that is like heavily relationship based and very
Yep.
heavily search based, where they would need to like SEO, even like organic content and stuff like that too. Like it's just like usually they have to like find you because they're usually when they need it, they actually start searching for it. It's not something you can create demand for through an email, which is essentially what we're doing with an offer is like creating this demand of like that sounds really interesting. Like that would I'd make more money. Like that sounds really cool. Cybersecurity is really tough to do that with. That I found anyway is like saving them money, making it and making them more money, or it just doesn't. Like I've tried a few different things. I just haven't found it to convert. And I don't think I'm alone in that from the cold email world.
No, it
So
is hard. I sometimes feel it's a trust issue because cybersecurity professionals are
yes,
untrustworthy as a practice, but they may not be unique. It may be in any
yeah,
industry where trust is a big factor. So,
yeah. And
so I was wondering if you actually figured out a way to work around that.
I haven't. I wish I could. And I was worried about when I said that on the call when he asked me. I was like, "It's probably somebody doing cybersecurity here." It's it's just tough. And I think the other side of it is like you're doing cybersecurity, but you're cold emailing like a company. which, to them is like you're spamming me and your company is literally supposed to do so. Like, I think there's innately an issue there. So I just think it's tough. We've gotten like meetings before for it. It just took so much volume to do it. But to the point where I was like, this is like, I don't know if it's even worth for
No,
anybody, like
appreciate
the
that.
client including doing it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's my thoughts. And stats kind of tell the same, to be honest with you. So
No, fair enough. Thank you so much, Ryan. Appreciate that
yep.
clarification.
Yeah. Sorry I didn't have a better answer. I wish I
No worries. Thank you. Thank you, Akash.
Thanks, Rajiv. Next up is Hassan. There you go, boss. Can you unmute yourself?
Thanks, Akash. Appreciate it. Ryan, I appreciate the session. It's been very valuable. I think one of the things that you said at the beginning that was very resonating was like putting the upfront work into the offer and the call to action. Of course, you got to focus on deliverability, but like the offer and call to action is very, very important. And I've seen some really good campaigns that you would be like, there's no other thing that could have made that be so great in terms of its performance outside of the offer and call to action when I started analyzing a few campaigns. But I did have a question around, is one specific question is like, when you do a offer and call to action, like you really design it, you have it in a really good place, you're happy with it. How do you then align that copy back towards like the data source itself, right? So you can scrape the data, get it all ready, enrich it, all that kind of stuff. But let's say in a situation where you're targeting dentists, local dentists, you scrape the businesses and whatever it might be, but you don't actually have the email of the direct person that you're speaking to in terms of the ICP. So like, you don't know if that offer and call to action is landing directly to the right person. How do you think about like certain campaigns where you're put in that situation where you have a good list of companies that might be really qualified in the sense of who you want to target for the offer, but you might not have the person directly from a contact standpoint? What do you think about the copy in that situation?
Who are you emailing? Is like a catch-all bucket at that situation, or you just have like the company's email, like info at,
info at, sales at. Yeah. And then sometimes you do get the responses and they set you up with the right ICP might be the person managing that email or not.
So we've done that with a few agencies. We tried that. The positive reply rate is always super low. Just because you're emailing a catch-all bucket, and obviously make sure they're valid catch-alls. So it gets dicey in that situation. So positive reply rate's generally just lower. I've done interesting things. So it very much depends on the offer. I've had one where we did, and it's like a Nick Abraham thing probably too, but like did like with a really good offer, we just kind of did like, I didn't have their name. So I would just do something like, I'm going to make this quick, or something. I forgot like I have like 100 different variations on what we do for that. Like, I'll make this quicker than getting coffee on like a Monday morning. I forgot the exact verbiage, like something like that's kind of funny kind of thing for a first intro line. That's just like an icebreaker kind of thing. Cause you can't personalize it in any way at that point. And then you kind of just put the offer out there and you just know, you just got to do a ton of volume. I've also done like the second email of like, hey, like who's the best person to contact about, X, Y, Z. As a follow-up, and that seems to work pretty well too. It is definitely like it's almost what I said earlier with sometimes it's just like it takes 3,000 emails to get a meeting, and that's just the number. When you email them, it might just be, I got 5,000 emails to book or to get, 3 positive replies. Like maybe that's just the number, or maybe there's different things we can do with copy. But yeah, I found there's no name, so just like maybe there's offer first with like an icebreaker that like seems like a human actually wrote it. We've done different things with like the unsubscribe too, with like, if this isn't relevant to you guys, just tell me to kick rocks and stuff like that. Like something like that's like humanizes a little bit because you can't really personalize it too much. Unless of course you're doing like Google reviews or something like that, because then you can scrape the Google reviews. But that's what I would do. And then like just a sit question on, I'm not sure if this is the right person to contact kind of thing. As like a second or third email. I wouldn't do too much volume, especially with being catch all. I would do like 2 emails each, and I wouldn't do more than that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
I appreciate
that.
Thank
helps,
you.
or just is that kind of what you're doing now?
Well, it's kind of what we're doing now, but I just want to get your perspective on like how you're handling. We're thinking about pushing like the email to example of asking if this is the right person into the first email, because it kind of like softens the blow sometimes. But even then the performance, it's not like it's very incremental. So yeah, it was just
I would,
reassuring it to
yeah,
that situation.
yeah, I'm confirming what you're doing is probably the right thing.
Okay.
Yeah, you could, I would suggest putting the second one first and playing around with it just to see if it works. Like if you haven't done that, just do it, especially if that's like the
Yeah.
main thing you're doing for a client or for yourself. Um, So yeah, honestly, like a lot of this stuff sometimes too is like, what is nobody else like? They're getting emails like this all the time. Like, what is nobody else look doing? And like, think of like that kind of stuff too. Because obviously you're doing something similar to what I would have probably done. So sometimes it's like, what would like nobody do? Like we've had some weird campaigns go off where we've done like, hey, first name, I saw you're running things at company name. I'm Ryan, the founder of Cold Outreach Systems. Was wondering, blah 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 blah. We've had like that kind of thing work really well with some campaigns and then do like crap like in other campaigns. But like I was like, nobody's doing anything like this right now because direct copy is like the main way people write copy in now. And sometimes that's worked. So it's like sometimes it's just like, what is like nobody else really doing? Sometimes it has nothing to do with AI enrichment. It's just sometimes it's like the copy itself. So yeah, sometimes just think
Yeah.
outside the box. I don't know.
Awesome. No, I appreciate that. Thank
Awesome.
you, Ryan.
Yeah, dude.
Thank you, Vasim. Next up is Frankie. If you can unmute yourself. There we
Hello,
go.
hello. Can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear, boss.
Yep.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Ryan, for the call. Thank you, Akash, for
Yep.
the call too as well. I'm a new member of Smartlead, so I'm happy to join the fam. Ryan, I have a few questions for you. I'm trying to make it as short as possible, but I run a
Sure.
retention marketing agency. I'm focused on Shopify stores, and our offer pretty much is, we build email and SMS systems, and we also help them increase their revenue by at least 20% in 60 days or their money back. Our offer kind of like mutates once we get them on the call because we kind of qualify them, and depending
Sure.
on what or how big their store is based on the website traffic, we kind of mutate that offer. So I've been running cold email for about 3 months now. I was able to get a client off of cold email before, using my previous ESP. However, my deliverability got killed, man. Like I was scaling up
Yep.
and then it was killed badly. I use Zapmail for my hosting and everything. However, yeah, so I wanted to really just understand what is it like to work with your team too as well. Do you guys have like any filtering for agencies you work with? Because I'm almost like wits end right now with trying to
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah. We've been
fix
there.
the deliverability. Yeah, I switched over to Smartlead too as well to make sure I can monitor my deliverability better and do all these things. So I'm just curious about kind of, what is it like to work with your agency, and what can I expect? And do you work with existing email addresses right then and there, or do you kind of like build everything from scratch?
Yeah, yeah. So I might just answer more on your offer, and then I could talk through like how we typically work.
Okay.
So that offer is a very, very, very saturated market.
Yeah.
And the more
Hmm.
saturated a market is, the usually not only do you have to do more volume to book meetings, but deliverability does go quickly in those situations. So you probably will have to replace inboxes like every like month and a half or so. Would not be like I wouldn't be like crazy with that. What you want to track is like if your reply rate like drops under like 1% or so. Sometimes it'll be like 0.7. Definitely depends. Like we have some clients that like 0.7 is just for who they're targeting and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But like if your reply rate's dropping, which you can track in Smartlead in their new dashboard, is like really you could literally check like per tag and per like inboxes like which deliverability and what the reply rate is. It's pretty phenomenal. So we track deliverability there. But just with what you're doing, you would just probably have to replace inboxes very frequently, and there is a lot of emails that have to go out in that specific
Hmm.
space to get clients in general.
Hmm.
Um, so both of those, like if your deliverability dropped after 3 months, like that doesn't surprise me. If you were getting positive replies in the beginning and then it tailed off,
Yeah, it tailed
like that
off.
wouldn't.
Yeah, we were like at 2,500 per booked call at first, and then it
Yep,
just tanked like 3 weeks ago, like badly. Like no
yep.
replies at all. No negative replies or no positive replies.
Yeah, your inboxes are cooked, so you need to
Yeah.
replace the inboxes. You can usually start to see that over a slow period of time, and then it could just happen like overnight. And we've had that happen with clients on that offer, that it just like went to zero, it just out of nowhere went to zero.
Mm.
So we've seen with that business, we have seen commission-based stuff work pretty well because it's so easy to track on Shopify the results on those. So that like we know clients that offer the same that do like commission-based offers and that are doing pretty well.
Mhm.
But that's the reality of like what it is to try to market that type of business. And sometimes it's just you just have to know that like I'm going to crash inboxes every 2 months. This is the cost in doing so. This is how many emails I need to send out to book meetings. So I just know that now. Now I know those are my costs in doing so. And then you just kind of figure out pricing and conversions and stuff around it. With when we work with a client, so we don't do like a large upfront payment. We do like a monthly tech fee, which covers like the inbox cost. And the
Mhm.
reason we used to actually do like an upfront payment to pay for all the infrastructure, but we actually found it was one, we got more sales when we just did like tech fee every single month. But what it allows us to do is constantly we just replace inboxes so quickly and never have to go back to the client. The client constantly is paying for the inboxes every single month. So there's constantly, no matter, it might be like a slow week or two where we have to replace inboxes, but there every single month there's like an inbox cost and I'm replacing inboxes so frequently and I never go back to the client. We also buy like 2 to 3x the infrastructure for a client than what they would probably need. We do get like you can get inboxes for like $2 to $3 inbox now. So like we buy more infrastructure. So as like one tag of inboxes goes down, like you can replace those with additional inboxes and get rid of those and purchase new ones and warm those up while like the new inboxes go in. That way you just like at least have 2x the infrastructure. So like you don't have like 2 or 3 weeks where like it just stops. Like you can't afford to own a business
Yeah,
if like marketing just stopped. Like it's hard to do that.
exactly.
And then it takes 2 weeks to warm up and then blah blah blah. So if you were getting a meeting every 2,500, like that's pretty good.
Mhm.
Like I wouldn't pay me. I would say just like you need new inboxes, you need twice as much infrastructure. There's providers that can do it for pretty inexpensive and just like build that into your cost. And then like it's every 2,500 emails. You got to figure out what your conversion rate on that is. It one out of every 10, one out of two out of
Mhm.
every two out of every 10.
Mhm.
And then like then at that point, like it's a scalable business. Like I'm putting this much money in, I get this much back. Here's my profit margins, and like how many clients can I get? That's kind of the game at that point. You just need new inboxes, dude. Like I don't think you need anything else though.
I know, man. I guess just having someone, just talking to someone one-on-one, I think that would have helped. But I appreciate your time.
Yeah, yeah,
I still might reach out just to, maybe
yeah.
see
You're
what we
welcome to,
could
dude.
do.
I don't mind. Yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Frankie. Next up is Logesh. If you can unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, is it audible?
Yep. Loud and clear, boss.
Yeah. Hello, Rian. First of all, thanks for take this. The thesis of the presentation was so good. I can learn more, especially the soft CTA. Now my main question is what I do. I'm Logesh. First of all, I help tech companies to turn podcast and B2B also into an shorts that can help to get more audience growth and discoverability, especially in the tech space. Now, my first question is, like you said, use an Alex Hormozy tag to create an irresistible offer. Let's say if I'm running a creative work, I'm giving the creative work. The problem is that is we can't guarantee the results within the specific time period.
Yeah,
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 let's say I can't guarantee you get 1 million followers within 30 days. Like those stuffs, how I can create an offer specifically for B2B and tech, ROI driven focused the time period, like that Alex Hormozy tag. Yeah.
yeah. So you're cold emailing now? I'm assuming on the service, like you're doing it now.
Could you repeat, please?
Yeah. Are you sending cold emails now?
Yeah, I'm just got
Okay.
started, and yeah, it's
Okay.
good.
So podcasting is like that. I don't know if you guys remember. I said like there's like 4 reasons like somebody would buy from you. I would almost group podcasting as that like that fifth bucket. That's like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like I wouldn't mind owning a podcast. Like I think that's like this interesting bucket that like is kind of sexy and attractive. So I think you're okay with like you can't guarantee a result on that, but you could certainly like podcast. I think that's a combination of like this sexy offer, but you're also improving. The fourth one I said was like improve their social status or how they think, like how they think of themselves. That's what podcasting essentially does. And in turn, so they essentially have their own podcast. They might generate more business. People innately kind of want that stuff. LinkedIn posting content is almost like the same idea, which is organic content. And that's the same idea. You're trying to change their social status or things like that. So I think podcasting fits in that world. I would just like, you're pretty early in. I don't think there's like a outcome based offer. I would do something like, we can launch your podcast and, we can help you launch a podcast in the next 2 weeks, which will allow you to, grow your business. But, we've helped clients like XYZ, CTA. I think ultimately the podcast, the outcome is like it helps them, grow their business. But the fact that it's on a podcast and helping them launch a podcast, I think I would use a time frame in which how quickly you can do it. And if you're very inexpensive, you could even like potentially advertise that as well. Or you could do like paper podcast. Like you could probably do some creative stuff with it, I'd imagine as well, because it's not expensive for you probably in your end. It's more of a time thing. Like you could probably be pretty aggressive with pricing and stuff like that, whether it's not performance based, but you could be probably pretty aggressive until you get some case studies under your belt and like some big clients under your belt. And then you could use those as like testimonials and case studies in your copy, which will ultimately improve your conversions. But I would like podcast and which time frame you can help them get a podcast launched, and then just research like for a SaaS company and a CEO of a SaaS company, what is a podcast? What would it help them do for their business? And like literally type into ChatGPT, like I'm Alex Hermosi, I want to help people launch a podcast. Like what would be my offer in an email? It'll probably give you like 20 ideas on what to do. And then see if one fits what actually would work for your business. But I think just launching a podcast in a short period of time, like is like a sexy enough offer that it should work. I think you just got to figure out how many emails you need to send out to book meetings and make sure the copy's good, and the lead list is validated, like all that stuff. So, but yeah, I don't just send more emails and see how it does over the first 10,000 or so is what I would say.
Yeah, got it. And the other question is how to handle, gatekeepers, because many people's founders are usually get, let's say if I'm pitching to an enterprises and large B2B organizations, how to, differentiate the offer when it's specifically for B2B large enterprise founders.
How do you get past the gatekeeper?
Yeah.
Well, that person has to be sold enough on what your services are to get you to the gatekeeper. So he's like that person is the person you need to sell on that. So that's if you can't get past that point and like sell them on the benefit of having the podcast, like that's where the struggle comes in. That's why like if you are new to it, like do you have any big case studies around it at all yet, or just because you're new you don't at the moment?
Got it. Yeah, that makes total sense. Thank you.
Yeah, I would just aggressively price to try to get clients right now and get some case studies under your belt would be what I would personally do. And then you can, scale from there once you have some case studies and testimonials around it.
But I also, only few people haven't started the podcast, but those companies who have already started the podcast, what I offer is short form content and content distribution across multiple channels, while also provide the reports at the end of the month. So they can see clearly the return of investment as well. So yeah, that's what I do.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Logesh. Thanks, man. I think
Last question. Could you share some specific subject line that works best for you, the format?
I mean, for podcasts, you might be able to do like podcast for first name, like company name podcast ? Might be interesting. Quick question still works okay. Like quick question. But I think podcast is interesting. I would just like podcast first name ? Like any interest in it? Do you guys run a podcast for company?
Yeah. I think I copy what you said exactly. Can I share my copy if you love to review? Just a quick seconds.
Logesh,
not now, probably just on the call, but you could like LinkedIn DM me or whatever you want to do. That's fine.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Awesome. Perfect. Last question for the session. Soul, if you can unmute yourself, sir. The floor is yours.
All right. Hey, Ryan, thanks very much for doing the call. Appreciate it. Thanks for sharing a lot. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about a target audience that I am, considering. And so what's your thoughts in like the medical field? Is email effective into getting some of these medical fields when you have a lot of different, there's a lot of catch-all type of emails. And then one part was about that, and the second part was about how can you get more of like decision-making emails versus catch-all. If there's any tips on like just getting better data and finding the right contacts in the medical side.
What do you sell as a service?
Fractional CMO kind of
Fractional
stuff. So
CMO.
yeah, so it's like full website redesign, creating a podcast, doing that now, for
Sure,
others, all the different things, paid
Yeah.
ads.
Yeah. So I mean, so full service marketing agency, like I said,
Yeah.
you do it for them, done for you. Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't position you as a CMO in the emails. Make sure you position it like as an agency. In the emails, you'll probably convert at a higher rate versus like a CMO. Just from what we've seen.
Okay.
So when you say medical practices, do you mean like small doctors' offices and dental practice, like kind of like that kind of stuff, or do you mean like hospitals?
No, more like single practices that can be doctors, like different. There's there's different niches within that, but that's the
Yeah.
category in hospitals. But
Yeah.
like in the
So there's not a clean answer to this. So I think we kind of answered like the catch-all bucket. You're definitely going to use some of that, and just kind of know that like that's the stats. The medical field is very tough to get in front of in general. Some of it has to do with the fact that a lot of them use Outlook inboxes as their inbox, which deliverability is like, much less there than it is in a Gmail inbox, which also makes it challenging. So to find decision makers, whenever we've had to do that, I've actually just like we've had like VAs, like we've hired on like Upwork and stuff to like build this for us. There wasn't stuff like done internally. We just, there's some stuff that we just have people we kind of like ping on like when we need certain lists. Like we could do 99% of the work, but like some people will just use different services. You could use waterfalls and stuff like that too, like within Clay. But like doctors don't usually even answer their emails anyway. Like it's and they're not usually going to answer a marketing email. Like the person, the catch-all, and like the admin person are usually. I mean, again, we don't target doctor offices a lot, so like I can't speak to that too much. But like their doctors are just not super responsive in emails, so it's a tough niche to like go after as part of it as well. Um, but I think like I said, like I think the catch-alls, I think you're just going to do like a ton of volume for finding emails. There's VA like all over Upwork that like literally have thousands and thousands and thousands of emails that you could probably do. And there's people we've contacted that way too, when we just like it's either not worth it or we're just like, well, we have a few people we know.
I have Clay now, but it's very expensive to get data from there. And
Yeah, so usually you're going to want to do subscriptions to some of the other providers on the waterfalls and stuff like that is usually what you're going to want to do. It's cheap, and Clay advertises that like it's cheaper to do usually the subscription to the third party like email providers that get them emails like Apollo and stuff like that. And there's companies that scrape Apollo and stuff like that as well. And like can get you like leads for like $10, $30, $50 as well if you don't have a membership there. So there's usually less expensive ways to do things if you can like find it. But I know it's not like a great answer, but like that's probably what I would do is like there's companies that literally that's all they do and they spend time and they just sell lists specific to like this kind of thing. And I would just buy lists. Like we've had a lot of clients where we now get really good results because we just we built our own list and then we paid companies to give us lists too. And there's companies that will not do that for like a lot of money either.
Yeah, I have someone I'm about to hire on Upwork to help me with a little bit of the list aspect.
Yeah, I just do that. Yeah. And there's overseas companies that help with that kind of stuff too. So but yeah, I mean it's an investment. Like it's an investment you probably have to make like initially into your business. To kind of do it. So make sure you're paying for valid emails if you go that route and just ask them that ahead of time because a lot of times they'll like all emails and not valid. So just kind of check for that.
Gotcha. And same kind of question, but I'm also trying to get into well, have a campaign going on with buyers for like retail. They, like purchasing clothing and things like that. And I've put together a list, and but it's not that big. So do you think that if it's a demo that's not very big, because I was looking at your numbers earlier, you need like 1,500 emails for one meeting, and so to get like at least 10 meetings, 15,000 emails. I don't think I can find 15,000 retail buyers. At least I haven't been able to. I'm using Clay and other things. So do you think if you can't get a lot of a big list, like I shouldn't even get into that industry? But these are targeting retail buyers for clothing and stuff like that, like boutiques.
Like retail companies, like somebody that sells clothes like at a retail store.
Yeah, my client is fashion brand and trying to get into boutiques and swimwear, so they're looking for like buyers that will like buy their clothes essentially wholesale. So targeting boutique buyers and bigger ones too, like the from of the world and things like that, but also the small ones.
So that's one of those like taking on a client kind of. So are you doing it for them? You're trying to find like prospect for them on their behalf, like lead gen. Yeah, that's one of those like clients. Like if we did something like that, we'd probably do like a blitz kind of thing. What I call like a blitz, like a 1 month, like let's see how it does kind of thing. Because there's just not enough prospects to target over a period of time, and you're probably gonna want to do like more messages to those prospects. But yeah, like TAM is an issue, like total addressable market. Like if there's only so many prospects to target, it doesn't make sense to cold email. And they probably need like account-based approach. But for that, like it might just be 1,500, but it might respond. Like I've had campaigns book a lot less meetings for that because it was such a specific offer and a specific niche that they wanted. It could do really well, but it might just be like that's it. But yeah, I mean like Apollo. There's Apollo scrapers that can scrape Apollo leads. There's like a ton of retail companies, but like when you get like super niche, it's more what I would call like a blitz versus like targeting everybody.
Okay.
Or like doing it for several months.
Doing LinkedIn outreach. I combined it, LinkedIn outreach with cold.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Multiple steps.
Yeah. All right, man. And I also told the client to do outbound calls.
There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Ul.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Himanshu, if you can please shoot your question directly to Ryan on LinkedIn, that would be helpful because we're 30 minutes past the session. So kind of saving time. Ryan, thank you so much for extending beyond the limit. Thank you for answering all the questions. Super insightful. And folks, you also have the document on the chat if you need any reference. Visit it. And for those questions, please feel free to shoot a message to Ryan on LinkedIn as well. And interesting news, Monday is the last day we have a Smart Senders drop. You get 33% discount for the first month on your mailboxes and your domains. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. It's going to close on Monday. But Ryan, thank you so much, sir. Any closing notes before we leave?
No, guys, I mean, like all these are good questions. Ultimately, some of it's just literally hitting these things with as much volume as you can get and spending time with offers that are actually going to convert. I think that's like if you can figure those two things out, you'll probably make more money. So
yes. Anyways, thank you so much, Ryan. First of many, we'll see you on the next one. Thank you all for taking the time. As you know, 3 consistent things in life: death, taxes, and office hours every Thursday. I'll see you on the next one. Ciao. Bye-bye.
I guess.